Hello everyone! Are you still with me? Welcome to part 6 of my Sewing for Beginners series. So, if you have followed me along so far, we have made a blouse and we have made a skirt. So let's combine these two into a dress. The dress I have prepared for you is hopefully pretty easy to follow, but of course, because it's a dress, it's two pieces combined, you have a lot of pieces. So just follow me along, I will break these down for you. And you can split this, you can sew the top in one day, you can sew the skirt in the other day, and then join these at the waist, and you have your dress. So I think the pattern is still pretty easy to follow. You don't have an elasticated waist this time, but a drawstring. So still no real closure. You can simply pull the dress over your head. You can make it with a nice whimsical puff sleeve and a ruffle at the bottom, or plain with a plain sleeve and without a ruffle. I will show you a ruffled version. Of course, when in doubt, opt for ruffles. And I will show you how you can get the pattern right now. The pattern is available on my website for free. You can either follow the link below the video or go to dressdeveloper.de, patterns. Then click on the dress camellia. Click on create pattern. And there you have the options between the straight sleeve and the gathered sleeve. I chose the gathered sleeve for now. And you can also choose between a plain skirt or a skirt with a ruffle. I go for the ruffle. Then you select a size. You can also upload your measure set with your very own measurements. And then you can also set the length of a sleeve. I go for the short length. And then you can add the skirt length. Note that the ruffle is included in the skirt length. Now I set the seam allowance. Paper format in A4 is fine. Then I can create the pattern. So you got two links here. Let's check out the second link first. Here you get a cover and an overview over your measurements and all the pattern pieces, and you can also get the notions, so an information about the elastic and the cord we need for this dress, along with measurements. And here you have a preview of the printing layout, so you know how you need to assemble all the pieces. I need to create this again. And here, the first link is the pattern itself, ready for printing. So we have quite a bit of pattern pieces today, so let's break it down into two groups. First, for the top, we have here the back and the front, with the bustard and the notches for the inset sleeves, which is this piece. And we also have, the facing pieces for the neckline. So this goes onto the front and this goes onto the back. And then we have the skirt pieces. We have a skirt back and a skirt front. This is a quarter circle skirt. And here the rectangle marks the position of the patch pocket. And then we have two ruffle pieces. This is the back, this is the back skirt. So you see the ruffle is 1.5 times the length of the skirt bottom. And here is the front. Same goes here. 1.5 times. Let's place this here. So this is the skirt, and to join the top and the skirt we have here the waistband, which we need to cut twice on fold. So for fabric I have here some scraps from an old bed sheet. I think this will make a lovely little dress. This is a well-seasoned cotton fabric, plain weave. So I don't have a selvage here, so I don't have this to determine the length of the fabric grain, but I can see that the threads are running this direction and are crossed in this direction. So I will place my pieces either this way or that way, both this way. Both should be fine. So I will fold this. Let's move the pattern pieces away for a moment, and then I will fold this in half. And then we can start cutting. Okay, here the ruffle pieces go onto a fold. Remember this marking, these arrows here tell me that I need to cut the piece on the fold. Okay, so our ruffle pieces, our skirts. Both will be cut on the fold. We don't need to install a closure because the waist is adjusted, so we can pull the dress over that. And here's the control square. Always check the width and height of a control square. It should be 5 centimeters. If this is off, then your pattern is not printed in the right scaling. So we have more fabric here. So we can pin on the top pieces. Okay. I have the back piece in a different layout than the front piece. So that makes it easier to cut them out if you fold the fabric both sides facing together. In this case, I will just cut these upside down. The pattern is not that directional that you would notice this. But of course, if your print is running in a specific direction, you should keep this in mind. Okay, here are the patch pockets. I can cut out anywhere. This is not the most efficient way to use this fabric, I admit. The sleeves. I will put the sleeves here on the cross grain. Oh. This should be fine. Okay, still have the waistband and the facing pieces. Waistband needs to be cut twice, so I will just mark this with a little bit of chalk. Yeah. Stay. And second time goes here. Okay. Don't forget the little facing pieces, also on the fold. Okay, let's cut everything out. Okay, 2 waistbands. Okay, I will also need to cut out the facing pieces in some light fusible interfacing. I like the facing pieces to be a little bit smaller, so I don't overlap the fabric and melt onto my ironing board. So, let's put this away for the moment. Since many of these pieces look alike each other, and I don't want to confuse them, I will mark these. So the front ruffle is a little bit longer than the back ruffle, because the front skirt is a little bit wider. So I mark this from F for front and B for back. This is the back skirt. And the front skirt. I think I will be able to tell the front pieces apart. So, last step is to transfer the markings. So, I have markings on the sleeve and on the top piece. So I mark the notches with little snips in the fabric. And now I'm being a good girl. I get my paper scissors because I forgot to cut open the bustard. I need to take off the mic just for a moment. Be right back. So there we are. Don't use your fabric scissors on paper. So I will mark the dart legs, and then I fold this open and put a pin on the bust point. Then I mark the back. Did I snip? No. Almost forgot the arm point for front. Not on my watch. So now I have a bust point marked. And I can mark the dart legs. And now I can pull all the needles out. Don't think you need to watch this, so I will do this off camera. And the first thing I will do is I will iron on these interfacings. So these interfacings have a little rough feeling side. That's the side with the glue. And this side comes onto the left side of the fabric. And then I will take this to my ironing board and press it in place. The glue will melt and join the interfacing and the fabric. Let's do this. And while I'm at the ironing board, I can do a little bit more prep work. So first I take only one of the waistband pieces and fold the seam allowance on the short sides under, press that in place, and then I fold these edges additional 2 centimeters under and press that down, so we have a nice enclosed edge. And I do this on both short ends of one waistband piece. Then I give the top of both pocket pieces the same treatment. So now that's done. I would say I begin with the darts. I usually begin with the darts. So here are our markings, pretty fade, but you also have notches to guide you. So I join the 2 notches. Fold the fabric accordingly, and I change my pin at the bust point. other side, line up the notches. And then I change the pin on the bust point. So this is how it looks. So now I will sew this line. I will start at the outside, sew to the bust point, then stitch some stitches across and tie a knot to fix the dart in place. And I repeat this on the other side. That's for that. And while on the sewing machine, I will do some other prep work. I will join the facing pieces at the shoulder, like this. And I will simply sew the shoulder seam. And then for the pockets, I will sew this fold in place, just with a simple straight stitch across here. And I will repeat this for the one waistband. I have already folded the sides too. So I will stitch here. Whoop, don't unfold. And I will stitch here. Let's see, is there anything else I can do right now? Yes, I can join the ruffles. Whoa, no, I don't join the ruffles yet. This comes later on. Yeah, I think that is all for the moment. So I backstitch at the beginning of the dart leg, and then I sew right up to the bust point. There I keep sewing for a couple of stitches, and then I tie a knot. A sewing pin can help to move the knot closely to the fabric. Okay, who has seen how I messed up? Yep, I sewed the right side to the wrong side of the fabric instead of both right sides facing. So I need to grab my seam ripper and undo these seams. Oh well, this happens to the best of us. There you go. Much better. So now that is done correctly, we need to do something against, I wanted to say we need to do something against fraying, but this fabric is pretty nice. It doesn't, yes, it does fray. It doesn't fray a lot, but it does fray. And if I wanted to wear this garment regularly and wash it regularly, I need to prevent all this from unraveling. Say this 3 times fast, unraveling. So, next step is to overcast all the raw edges, but only the edges which does not get enclosed later on. So that's why I will sew all around the neck facing, but not on the inside, because the inside will get enclosed. On the top pieces, I want to overcast the shoulders and the side seams for the front and for the back, shoulders and sides. For the ruffle pieces, I want to overcast the short sides here. Also for the second waistband, only this short little edge here. And for the skirt pieces, also the sides. Same for the sleeves, only the sides for the moment. And for the pockets, I need to overcast the sides and the bottom. the top is already nicely finished. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, we have now lots of overcast pieces and we can finally thinking of assembling. Before I begin that, I want to install the pockets. So I have here my front skirt piece and I have a pattern piece for the front. I have cut out a little window where the marking is. And I will use this as a guide to where I put my pocket. So I fold under this edge here, just the seam allowance, and I put this into this little window. And I fold under the bottom too. Yeah. The pins want to play. Okay, so that's one pocket down. Now fold this over. So I have the form mirrored on the other side. Pin should go through all layers, or it doesn't actually pin. That is good enough. So now I'm going to top stitch the pockets in place, just the sides and the bottom. The top stays open. Remember to backstitch at the beginning and the end of the seam to reinforce it and to keep it from unraveling. Now that we have that, I can assemble all the main pieces. I put the back skirt on top. The right sides of the fabric are facing each other. And I join them on the side seams. Just with a straight stitch along here. So the back is a little smaller than the front, that's fine. This might be different for you. That's based on your measurements. And I will do the same for the ruffle pieces. So both right sides facing, and I will join them on the short sides. So, and here's the waistband. I need to do the same on the waistband that is overcasted, not on the one which is finished with folding. I join the short sides so I get a little ring, not on this one. And for the top, I join the shoulder seams. So the back piece gets laid right sides facing to the top piece. Top piece, both are top pieces. The back gets laid on the front piece, right sides facing each other. And we will sew the shoulder seams. For all these construction seams, it's especially important that you back tag at the beginning and the end of a seam. Otherwise, your thread might come loose again and nobody wants that. So here we have the shoulder seams, front and back, right sides facing. Same for the ruffle pieces. And the skirt. A few words before we proceed further. When your skirt has this state, I recommend you grab it and hang it. Just put it on a hanger and at the waist, or pin it to your dress form or something like that, and let it hang at least overnight, maybe even for 1 or 2 days, because this is a circle skirt. It's only a quarter circle skirt, but nevertheless, at least partially, it is cut on the bias. And depending on your fabric, this might stretch out with simply the weight of the fabric, especially when we add the ruffle afterwards. So it's best to let the fabric stretch right away, and then you take your pattern pieces, for example, and trim the excess, or you just put it on and hem it on yourself. Both is valid. And I wanted to address the version without a ruffle. When you don't sew a ruffle, you need to hem this, and since it is a curve here, you might run into trouble. It's a very soft curve, but you might run into trouble when you want to make a double turn hem. You might end up with puckering. You can try to press these out without iron and steam, but in case this does not work, I recommend you use bias tape to hem. Just use it as a facing piece. I will show you with the neck facing later how this is going. And bias tape is such a nice tool, great for hemming and binding all sort of shaped hems, and you will find this much easier than to try and to make a double turned hem. So this is going to hang, and in the meantime I'm going to hem the ruffle. So I will press the seams open, and then, because the ruffle is straight, we will do a double fold hem. I will press this and then stitch it down. Make the hem as small as you can, but it does not matter if it is a bigger hem. The ruffle gets a bit shorter, but this is not really a problem. So, onto the ironing board. And then I can sew this hem down. So let's have a look. Here's the skirt so far, and here is the ruffle. Now the ruffle is much wider than the bottom of the skirt, so we need to gather this down. To do this, I will sew 2 rows of gathering stitches. A gathering stitch is simply a straight stitch with the longest setting your sewing machine can produce. And I will sew 1 row of gathering stitches, and some millimeters below that a 2nd row of gathering stitches. 1 row might be enough to do this, but a 2nd row gives you much more control over the gathers. So let's do this. I did decide to make 2 sets of gathering stitches, one for the front piece and one for the back piece. This way I can ruffle these up individually. And a second row of gathering stitches a couple of millimeters below the first. So here we have our ruffle, and you see it already began to ruffle up. This fabric is so lightweight, this will make a very lovely ruffle. So I have decided to start and stop my gathering stitches where I joined the 2 pieces into the round, so I can gather up each section individually. So here's the front of a skirt. Where is the front ruffle? This is a B. Okay, I guess this is an F. I guess so. Not very good placed. So I need to pin this. Here's the front. So I join up the side seams, press the seam allowance open. Right sides are facing each other. Seam allowance gets opened. And here, so other half. So and now I should have done this before. Let's find the center of each piece. Here's the center of a ruffle. And the center of a skirt. This would have been easier before I pinned on the ruffle. But it doesn't need to be overly precise. Just want to distribute everything evenly. So now I have marked this, I will join these up too. So, and now to the gathering stitches. Now I need to take only the 2 top threads here. Come on, lots of threads. I need only the top 2, and then I pull on these gathering stitches, and the ruffle should easily ruffle up. Hopefully. You can move the ruffles. Until you have the length you need. That's okay. just pin the ruffle in place. That's it. Next side. Now this ruffle is only half times longer than the skirt, so it is not the biggest ruffle in the world. You can cut the ruffle longer if you want to, but you don't have to. Just pull on the threads and distribute the gathers evenly. That should be enough. And the back. Where are my threads? Only the top. In this case, top is the bottom. You know what I mean. Now, when we are sewing these in place, don't forget to reset your stitch length. You don't want to use your long stitch length. Just reset it to default settings and you should be fine, because the stitching needs to be permanent, right? Okay. Almost done here. Okay. So, we will sew the ruffle in place, just all around here. Now I seem to have lost some footage here. You are actually seeing me not sewing the ruffle on, but to overcast the already sewn on ruffle. So at this point I have already sewn on the ruffle and cut back the seam allowance, and I'm now finishing the seam with a zigzag stitch. So, skirt's done. Let's sew our top together. So we have already stitched the shoulder seams. And the first thing I want to do is to install the neck facing. This is already stitched up and finished on the outer edge. So I just line the shoulder seams up. Seam allowance get pressed open. this right? No. This is the front. This is right. Yes, this is better. And then I will sew this in place. Now the right sides are facing each other, forgot to tell you that. And I will sew here on the inside. I will sew on the inside in the round. When you're sewing around a challenging form, you can always stop, bury the needle in the fabric, lift the presser foot, and reposition your fabric. This helps a lot. So this is how it looks. And now I will do two things. First I will clip very carefully into the seam here. Not into the seam, into the seam allowance. Please don't cut into your seam. You need to do it all over again. This is because we have a curve here. And if we turn this inside out, these clips help the fabric to stretch so we don't get any unwanted puckers. Okay, so now I turn this to, I don't yet turn it to the inside. What I'm doing now is I'm understitching. And understitching means that you sew the seam allowance to the facing. So basically, no, this way around, the seam allowance gets pressed towards the facing and then stitched down. Keep a little bit of pulling so everything lays nice and flat, and so here. This helps a lot when the facing is turned towards the inside, because then you don't want the facing to peek out. When you understitch the facing, it will lay nice to the inside. So let's understitch. Okay, facing is understitched. This is how it looks. Now we turn the facing to the inside. And you will see how easy the facing is rolled out of sight. Like this. Now, the facing is nicely in place, but while washing and wearing, facing might show itself again, might flap out. So you can either sew the facing down with a couple of hand stitches. I have shown this to you in my was it the fourth video? I think it was the fourth video with poppy blouse. I will put a card up there, somewhere around here. Or what I'm going to do is I will top stitch this in place. I pin it a little so that it doesn't flap out while I'm doing this. As a replacement for a facing, you can always use a strip of bias tape. Just work this exactly like we have before. And then you get a nice narrow hem. Is this a hem? A nice narrow finish. And I will top stitch around here. So this looks pretty nice. And we are now going to install the sleeves. Before we can do that, the sleeves are also wider than the armhole, so we need to gather these down as well as the ruffle on the skirt. So again, gathering stitches. Just along here, there's a marking on the pattern piece where to begin and where to stop. Just sewing 2 rows of gathering stitches, again very long stitches with a distance of a couple of millimeters together. Gathering stitches are done. Then we take the top. So here we have the armhole. Here's the single notch for the front arm and the double notch for the back. So let's have a look. Which sleeve goes here? Nope, the other. Here's the single notch, here's the double notch. So I first line up the notches. Here's a notch for the top. This goes to the shoulder. Oh. Seam allowance gets pressed open. Here is the single notch and the lower armhole, as here is the double notch and the lower armhole. Now, again, as we did for the ruffle, let's grab the 2 top threads, the bottom one, only the and 2 top frets. And gather this up. And pin it in place. Other side, get the 2 top threads and pull on the fabric to gather it down. Now the nice thing with gathered sleeve, in my opinion, is that you can, you don't need to be overly precise, because when you sew in a tuck, which you didn't supposed to, it just looks like it was intentional. So the other side, let's do this again. Here's the double notch for the back. Line these up, right sides facing. Here is the top. Whoa. Where's the notch? Here's the notch. Pin again. Now let's find the top threads and gather this down. Okay, so both sleeves are in place. I will now sew this with a single row of simple, plain, straight stitches on this side and on this side too. So the sleeves lay flat against the stitching plate. And I keep repositioning everything just to make sure everything lays as flat as possible. Now this starts to look like a blouse, right? So I am going to give it the same treatment as the skirt ruffle. This means I will trim the seam allowance back. And then I will overcast the edges with a zigzag stitch. No need to clip these curves though. Side. So, overcast this edge. Now we need to close the side seams. So I simply line these up. This is the underarm seam. And this line is pretty short. It only goes to the waist. Get the cable out of the way. And here's the other sleeve. Line these up. And another pin here. And so we are sewing the side seams from the sleeve down to the waist. Yeah, sleeve, waist. Then the next step is to hem the sleeves. I do a simple double fold hem just like for the ruffle. But I leave an opening of about 3 to 4 centimeters in the sleeve on the lower part because I need to thread the elastic through. Okay, so now we need our elastic and we need the cover file from our pattern, because here on the second page it tells you how long the elastic needs to be cut. And since I have printed the pattern in half scale for my little dress form, I will only cut one of these strips, and cut that in half. So let me get this, 31 centimeters. This, snip. So this would be one of the pieces for a full-size model. And I will cut these in two. Snip. So I need one of these strips and one safety pin. Pin is here. And then I will thread this through. And just so the end does not run away, I will pin this in place with a second safety pin. So let's thread this through. Here's the underarm seam. Might be a bit tricky to get through. There we go. And here we are out again. Pull this out, take the other half, come on, and I will now join these just with a couple of stitches of a sewing machine. Overlap for 1 to 2 centimeters. And this gets stitched. And after that, you can pull the elastic through again and then stitch this opening here closed. If you want to, you can leave it open if you don't mind. Here I just stitch a teeny tiny rectangle over the overlapping elastic pieces to keep everything in place. And then I can sew the opening in the hem closed. And there you have a little puffed sleeve. This is becoming really cute. So we have now a finished top and we have a finished skirt. So to make this into a dress, we need to join them. But I wanted to include a drawstring at the waist. The waist is like this, a little bit loose. It's enough to pull the whole dress over your head. So let's get back to our waistband pieces. 1 second, I need to get my pins I left at the sewing machine. Okay, I have long arms. So we have 2 waistband pieces. So we have one frame. We have this one, which is closed into a circle. Just press the seam allowance open here. And I want to mark the center of it and the opposite to the seam. That's here. And then we have a second piece which is still open, but we have finished the short edges. So I will determine the opposite center here too. And this I will put on top. Yeah. On top of a waistband circle, pin in place, and then I will guide this around to the front. Maybe put a couple of pins in here, and the same for the other side. Now the both right sides are facing up. You don't want to put these right sides facing. So the left side from the outer waistband meets the right side from the inner waistband. And then it should look like this. Let's center this a bit more. So, like this, we have made an encasing for our drawstring. So the drawstring can come out here and go in here. So we have this nicely enclosed. So I will quickly go and put just a row of basting stitches around both edges so nothing shifts when we assemble the dress. Now we have our waistband. So these are still open. And this we are going to attach to our top and skirt. So let's determine the front center. This is here. So this opening should go down onto this. So if we flip this later on, the opening and the nice side of the waistband will face outwards. So the right side of the waistband gets sewn onto the right side of the skirt. We need to sew this on the the top edge in place. Almost there. So I turn the skirt right side out, and then okay, there. Come on, stubborn waistband. So I will put the top to the inside, and then I will line up the side seams. Now the waistband doesn't have a side seam, but you can see the side seam of the skirts below. Wait, is this the front? Yes. That's the front. It has the bust darts. It is right. And the other side. Line up waist, side seam. Everything falls into place. Now I am sewing again around this ring. So we're almost done. Last step is again to trim the seam allowance and overcast it with a zigzag stitch. And then our dress is complete. actually, I forgot about one last step, because we need to install the drawstring into our waistband. So if you again refer to the pattern cover, it will tell you to get some cord and the length of it. I have a shoelace here. I think this will match very nicely for this purpose. Should be easy to thread through. If you're using a regular cord, you would probably want to perform this little safety pin hack again. So you have something to grip on. Now, in theory, you could also insert elastic into this casing, but I think a little bow with a drawstring adds to the character of this dress. So much ruffle. Almost done. There we are. Let's pull a bit more, so we have two even lengths. Yeah, nice. So let's put this on the dress form for our reveal. Okay, this was a long video. Did you make it to the end? As always, I hope you enjoyed this video and it was of some help. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'm glad to help. There's one last video in this series to go, so keep watching and see you the next time. Bye!